I am. Okay. This video, I think it's gonna be about the seasons. Yeah, every time I say I'm about to make a video, for some reason I don't. So I figured I should probably just make a video, just do it. Um, yeah, so seasons. Okay. Alright, so dang. It's always so much, and I don't always where to begin. Okay, let's just start simply. Okay, so on the seasons, you got summer, fall, winter, spring. Okay. So summertime would be considered like heaven, wintertime would be considered like hell. Fall would obviously be you were in heaven and then you fell. That's pretty self-explanatory. And now you're in hell, which is winter. And then when you spend some time in winter and you get your shit right, you spring back up to heaven. But that shit don't last forever. Inevitably you will fall again. Then you'll spend some time there, da 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 da. But you might go like something like this. Instead of just going up and down, up and down, up and down, you might go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And so that even though you're going up and down, you're going up the whole time. Yeah. Or you could be going up and down, but be going down the whole time too. It's always cycles within cycles. So, okay, let's get some examples in here. So the past, ever since the Avatar started showing back up on the planet, that's what you would be considering to be like spring. Well, see, it's always a paradox because once you deal with these dimensions, it's always a paradox. One's going to be this, but the other one's going to be the opposite. So the Earth is splitting. So it's like once the Avatar started to show up on the planet, that was when this shift started to happen. But some are going to continue. It's like even though you met right here, some are going to be going up and some are going to be going down. So in that moment in time, that was called like a crossroads. That was called like when you had a choice. Just because you're there doesn't mean you're going to just because the Avatar showed up, don't mean you're going to follow them or listen to anything that they say or anything like that. So you might just be like, okay, Avatar, and then da-da-da-da-da, and then go down. And the ones who listen to the avatars are really just a manifestation of like a warm front. It's like the warm front will come in and push certain seeds this way, and the cold front will come in and push certain seeds this way. And depending on how well you adapt, you can either resist the cold or you can resist the heat. If you just, a low down, dirty fucking, beast, then you will be able to resist the heat to a point. It's like you'll be resisted to the heat to a point until it burns you up. And if you don't start to find that inner sun, the winter will freeze you. So, but okay, for example, you see how in wintertime, everybody's all bundled up. They're like, oh shit, it's real cold. Da 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 da. I gotta build shelter. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. The way you live your life, the way you express yourself, the way you see things, is completely different in wintertime in hell when you fall in. When you're away from yourself, when you're outside of self. You're outside and it's cold and it's like, oh shit, I gotta survive. So, well, what happened is, and like you see on the planet how the poles are so-called, or the poles are cold, right? That's where the least amount of energy is, and as close you get to the center, that's where the most energy is, so it's warmer. Even during the wintertime, it's warmer. That's like the solar plexus of the planet. So and there's also a tilt. I don't even go into that. I'll just speak about, okay. It's like all your chakras do something, and they always talk about raising your chakras up, like raising up your chakras. That's because you've been in wintertime and you've been trying, your chakras have been stuck in low. Like you've been thinking about survival and sex and, all that type of shit. Because that's the type of shit you think about during the wintertime. Because you gotta, save up your food. Like, what if I don't have enough food? How do I grow more food? Or, oh shit, it's wintertime, I might not have enough. Where in summertime, there's food everywhere. You don't got to worry about nothing. The food is always on the trees. Everything's in bloom and blossom. It's plenty. You have an overabundance. Whereas wintertime is if you didn't sow your seeds right in wintertime and you go into you're gonna have a real bad time in winter. But if you spent your summertime following the laws and staying in balance, you'll have exactly enough how much you need to withstand the winter while still being inside self. But some, are different than others. And if they're younger, they need to go through the cycles and the seasons to even learn that concept. So if they go through a winter and they're like, oh shit, they die because they didn't, plant enough seeds or whatever, that experience will be etched in their DNA. So the next time they do it, they'll be more resonating towards doing a little bit more this time. But if you see like the solar plexus your solar plexus during the wintertime, it's to survive and to do certain things and all like that. It's forcing the energy down. It's like it's taking the energy, and even though it's putting the energy through your whole body, because everything has to stay in balance. It's like if you're perfectly balanced, you're going to have it going both. But the planet's never like that. The planet's never perfectly one temperature. It used to be just like all good, but then when the fall happened, all like that, then you got, it's just for perspective. So there can be a time when it's going to be all good, and there's going to be a time when it's all bad, and there's going to be a time when it goes up. It's like, it's just always cycles within cycles. You got to have as many perspectives possible to gain the most amount of knowledge and the most amount of wisdom. So right now, it's like you've had your solar plexus giving your energy to your lower chakras for so long, you don't know the difference. Even though you have chakras up here that can see, through the dimensions, and you have your intuition and connection with your higher self and your ancestors, and, being able to see in your DNA and go through your Akashic records and all like that, that is nothing to do with your lower chakras. That's always in your higher chakras. So that's why the 13th Sun always talks about, getting, with your third eye or your first eye, whatever, just getting your chakras up. Stop thinking about sex. Stop thinking about you don't have enough. Stop thinking about all that shit. Start planting seeds. Start doing stuff, because he's trying to take you out of wintertime. He's trying to take you out of the mode of wintertime. Because in summertime, you're always protected. You're always good. You don't got to worry about nothing. It's like, and if you could, it's time to adapt into that. It's like, let's say you were in wintertime and you put all your parkas on and you have all your furs on and you got, it's good for wintertime. And then let's say you just keep it on, you never take it off, and you insulate your house, you build this big ass fire every day, you don't change nothing about what you're doing, but now summertime comes along. That's going to be bad. It's going to be like, you're going to be sweating, you're going to overheat, you're going to exhaust yourself, you might get a heat stroke. It's like, because you haven't adapted, you didn't shed the shit that was no longer serving you. That parka is not serving you no more. That shit is just dead weight. It's time to take it off and be more free, to go out and experience certain shit, do certain shit. And then it's vice versa. If you don't adapt to your surroundings as you start to fall, because inevitably you will fall. You must fall to rise back up again. You must die so you can have a rebirth. So the fall is not a bad thing. It's just that some of these fallen ones, they didn't fall gracefully. It's like they were trying to hold on up there for so long, like, no, I can't let go, I can't let go, I can't let go. And then eventually the gravity got too high, and it's like they didn't like fall gracefully like a feather when it was time, and then plop on here and then just live their life, yada, 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 can't wait till next time, and then go back up and then just go back up like that. And it's the same thing if you don't get right and you're trying to jump back up, you gotta, do like the opposite of a feather, like gracefully go back up. If you don't gracefully go back up, it's like the gravity is gonna be too high. You can't just jump up one day and just be good. You gotta walk up the stairs. It's like the galaxy or the universe or whatever will give you ample time, like really more than enough time to take each step up them stairs to get back where you were going. And it gives you ample time to gracefully go down the steps when that's time. But if you're just like, nope, I refuse to move off my steps, I'm staying up here, I don't give a fuck, well, it's going to come a time when that shit's going to crumble. You're going to have no choice. The only difference is that now, instead of being able to go down like this, you're just going to boom, and then you're going to fall. And then you're going to be mad. You're going to be mad at the creator, talking about, why you make me fall? That shit hurt. I'm fucking unconscious, and you knocked me out, and I don't know what I'm doing now, and da-da-da-da-da, and I forgot all this shit. And for some reason, I just got this hate in my heart. I don't know why I got this hate in my heart, but I just do, and da-da-da-da-da. It's because you were outside of law. You didn't pay attention to the signs and the seasons and the cycles and all like that, so you didn't fall gracefully. Because technically, if you falling gracefully, there's no difference between falling gracefully and rising back up. It's the same thing. It's just your perspective. You say that it's bad, so it makes it bad. It's like how a warrior acts in wintertime is going to be different than how a warrior acts in summertime. But it could be the same warrior, but he has to adapt to wintertime conditions and adapt to summertime conditions. That's just what he has to do. So now it's like, now you should be taking that solar plexus energy and projecting it upwards. It's like the energy on the planet right now, even though, because it's splitting, if you're focused on the negativity, since it's splitting, you will start resonating with the negativity, and there you will experience lack, and you will experience all types of bullshit. But if you stop focusing on the part of the planet that's splitting that way, and you start focusing on there's an abundant energy to support your growth right now. So if you go this way, if you start going this way to the I guess the so-called positive side, towards the love side, towards the warmth, back to the darkness, then you won't have to use that energy to your root chakra anymore. That should already be taken care of. You don't have to worry about your sexual chakra anymore. That already be taken care of. You don't have to worry about eating or none of that shit. That'll be just taken care of. It'll just show up. It seems like it falls out the sky, no problem. So now you can take the energy that you were using to, oh shit, I got to go get a job, and I got to pay my rent, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And now you're starting to unlock your DNA, so you got more codes so you see that shit is a waste of energy. I don't need to do that shit anymore. I remember that it's what time it is now, and I remember that I can start putting my energy up. And now you take that solar plexus energy and you start projecting it up towards like your so-called third eye with your dreams and all like that, and you start getting contact, like what I said, like your intuition, your higher self, your ancestors, all like that, and they will guide you through it's like now you're just flowing right back up. It's like you're remembering yourself, and the self doesn't have to do nothing. The self does things. I can't even say the self does things, but the self imagines itself doing things. Like you imagine that you're doing all these things, but you don't say that you are the things that you're doing. It's like it's all just a learning experience. It's all just, for perspective and context so you can decide who you are. It's like anyways. So yeah, seasons. What else about the seasons? I think I pretty much said what I wanted to say. I think maybe I said it fast. I'm not sure. Yeah. So just start cultivating that solar plexus energy. And whenever thoughts come into your head about survival and this and this and that, don't worry about it. Just surrender that shit. Surrender that shit to the Most Highs. Their energy supports doing that for you, but you have to let them do that for you. It was a time when the energy wasn't supporting that. The energy was to go down and focus on survival and focus on during these type of things. You had to do that so you could come focus up here. Like I said, it's always a paradox. I always want to say the next thing, but it's like to sit there and try to explain it would take like a half an hour. It's like you got to be the one. It's like, here's the cycle, here's one spiral, and you have to balance that. And then once you get up here, it's like what was balanced down here isn't balanced up here anymore. It's not balanced anymore. So from a higher perspective, you could look at somebody and see, and from your perspective, it may seem like they're out of balance. But that can't possibly be true because everything must be in balance. So it's just your perspective. So you go around, and so you choose for yourself who you want to hang around with, who you want to hang. But just because you don't want to hang out with a serial killer, don't mean that the serial killer is somehow out of balance. Because if he was out of balance, he wouldn't exist. And that's why all this shit's going to continue to exist. It never destroys or nothing. It's just that you're going to stop resonating with it. It's like you're moving. It's like an infinite number of projections of yourself that go seemingly forward or backwards, but they're in the same place. So it's like you're at the lowest of the low. So you're here. Okay, here's your refer back to that shadow self video. I talk about that a little bit with the projection of yourself and but there's an infinite number behind that too. So it's like and that's the frequency wave. So like, here's your third dimensional self. Here's your third dimensional self. And if you don't have no perspective of anything that's higher than that, you just think you're this third dimensional self. When you get up here and you start getting in contact with your emotional body, your light body, just all the different chakras, you start observing your third dimensional body. You start observing your emotions. You start observing the cycles in the season. You start learning about them. You start being the witness, like, I see. But there's somebody that's watching that too, and watching that, and watching that, and watching that, and watching that. So, and that, it's like your perspective is like a frequency wave. It'll go in all the way to the bottom, and like, so here's your eyeball. Here's your source perspective. It starts in the ninth dimension, and you see everything from the first to the ninth dimension from your perspective. And then you're like, okay, that's what's up. But you can't see everything at once. So you have to constrict your view, expand your view, constrict your view, expand your view to focus on certain aspects of the one. So you go like this, boop, and that's at the bottom. You can't go any further. And then, so that's the fall, and then you spring back up into summer, winter, summer, winter. So you know you're in winter time, or that you're trying to be in springtime, because you're starting to realize that there's something higher than this. You're starting to think about, oh shit, well, this is weird. I never thought about it like this before. I'm going to stop eating meat. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. It's because you're coming out of winter. The energy, the heat is raising the temperature, raising your frequency. It's like, when it's dark outside, it's cold, and like the temperature is like this, because it's a cold wave. And then when the sun comes up, it starts to heat up. And then now it's like the shit's moving faster. Heat is energy, so it moves faster. It's like it's the same thing that happens. It's like those light codes or whatever. It's like that energy is coming to hit you to raise up your temperature, to raise up your frequency, which is just pushing you back into self, which is, this self doesn't disappear. It's not like my third dimensional body just disappears. It's not time for that. But that doesn't mean that I exist just as I've always technically existed as all of myself at once, but my perspective didn't let me realize that, didn't let me have that experience directly. So now that I'm able to push back and keep pushing back, I start observing more and more. And so I can take that wisdom, because there's a connection. I can take that and express it through this body. It's like that wasn't possible before, because there was a divide. It was seeming like there was a divide. I didn't have you wouldn't have no connection. It's like there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for you to have a connection. There's a time and a place for you to not have a connection. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It just is. So yeah, but you don't have to choose to get your connection back. You can continue to fall infinitely. Like, you continue to fall. It's like, and like I said in another video, if you fall far enough, it'll start seeming like you're going back up, because up is down and down is up. Hot is cold and cold is hot. It's just your perspective that says one or the other. So you want this feeling of movement, that something is better than it was before. Then you say, okay, well, that's worse and this is better. And that's you, and that's what makes you who you are. One man's God is another man's devil. So yeah, there is a such thing as right and wrong and all like that in duality. But when you transcend duality, they're both the same, and you immerse yourself in it just to kind of play with it, to fools with it. But yeah, hope I said everything I was supposed to say. Yeah, maybe I'll come back and make another one at some point. But yeah.